The importance of end of financial year accruals. It's nearing the end of the financial year, and currently your financial report shows the following summary of expenses for clinical supplies, midway through June. In the clinical supplies, you've actually spent $9,800 out of a budget of $20,000. That gives you a variance in the positive of $10,200. Across the whole year to date, you have spent $223,400 of a budget of $240,000. That gives you a positive variance of $16,600. However, you placed an order for clinical supplies on the 20th of June, and they arrived on the 24th, but the invoice has not yet been processed. You have two choices. Firstly, you can wait until you have time to process the invoice for payment. However, this may not be a good idea, as you want the amount to be counted in the current financial year. Or the second and best choice is to advise your management accountant that the order has arrived, but not the invoice for $12,450. Your management accountant will then prepare a journal for the 30th of June in the current financial year as follows. Clinical supplies, a debit of $12,450 and a credit in accrued expenses of $12,450, because debits must always equal credits. The clinical supplies line in your financial report for June will now read as follows. The actual spend in clinical supplies is $22,250 against a budget of $20,000. You're a little over now with a variance of $2,250. Across an actual year-to-date spend of $235,850 against a year-to-date budget of $240,000. Year-to-date, your variance is now $4,150 in the positive. Your financial report now currently recognises the expenditure in the current financial year. Accrual accounting is a method of recording revenues and expenses when they are earned or incurred, regardless of when the cash is exchanged or payments are made. Towards the end of the financial year, you should advise your management accountant of all orders placed and invoices expected before the end of the financial year. This will ensure that your next financial year's budget is not negatively impacted by purchases made the previous year. The decision to recognise the accrued expense in the current financial year represents a more accurate picture of how much your cost centre spent in that financial year. Providing accurate expenditure and revenue figures are also important because budget builds for subsequent years often consider the previous year's expenditure. Once the invoice is approved and processed, the journal adjustment by your management accountant will be to debit the accrued expenses of $12,450, which reverses the accrued expense entry, and credit accounts payable for $12,450. For more information, contact your management accountant or equivalent in your organisation.